All right, so imagine for a second trying to solve one of those really complicated puzzles, but the pieces keep changing, like while you're working on it.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of what Kenya's dealing with right now, trying to bring peace to Sudan.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, I think.
They just hosted this big meeting with Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, and a bunch of political groups,
Right.
trying to form what they're calling a government of peace and unity, but Sudan's government is not happy about it.
No, they are not.
They're saying Kenya's meddling, trying to set up like a shadow government or something. So the question is, why would Kenya get involved in this?
Yeah, why would they risk it,
Like,
right?
what do they have to gain?
Well, I mean, Kenya's got this history of being a peacemaker in the region, right?
Yeah, back in 2002, they helped put together that Machakos Protocol that ended Sudan's second civil war.
Exactly. So they've done it before, and it worked.
So they've got the experience, but is this a genuine attempt at peace this time, or is Kenya trying to boost its own power in the area?
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure. It could be a little bit of both, right? I mean, there's always that mix of motives when you're dealing with international relations, but I think it's important to remember that these kinds of peace negotiations are incredibly delicate, and Kenya's really putting themselves out there by taking the lead on this.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into the specifics of this meeting. What were they actually trying to achieve?
Well, the stated goal was to set up a secular, democratic, decentralized Sudan with a unified army, which on paper sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds pretty idealistic.
It really does. But, you're talking about decades of deep divisions, competing interests, broken promises. I mean, remember what happened with the comprehensive peace agreement that was supposed to lead to peace in South Sudan?
Yeah.
It didn't really solve the underlying problems, and South Sudan ended up split off anyway.
And then there's the whole issue of Abdelaziz Al-Hilu being at the meeting.
Oh, yeah, he's a major player in all of this.
Like, who is this guy and why is he so important?
So Al-Hilu, he's a powerful rebel leader. He controls a big chunk of South Kordofan, and he's always been a big advocate for a secular government, which puts him at odds with Sudan's current leaders.
Right, so he's got his own agenda.
He definitely does, and that makes things even more complicated because now you have to ask, is he really committed to peace, or is he just using this as a way to get more power for himself?
So it seems like Kenya's walking a pretty fine line here. I mean, there's a lot to gain, but also a lot to lose. What are the potential outcomes for them?
Well, if they can pull this off and actually broker a lasting peace deal, it would be a huge win for them diplomatically.
Yeah, they basically be the heroes.
Exactly. It would really solidify their position as a leader in the region and show that they're serious about stability.
But what if it backfires?
Well, then things could get really ugly.
Yeah, I mean, relations with Sudan are already pretty tense.
Right. This could push them over the edge. And then there's also the potential for backlash within Kenya itself.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the upcoming election.
Yeah, that's a big factor. Kenyans are going to the polls in 2027, and this whole Sudan situation could become a big campaign issue.
So some voters might see it as like strong leadership taking charge on the world stage.
Right, but others might see it as reckless meddling in someone else's business.
Yeah, and you know how quickly public opinion can shift.
Absolutely. So it's a gamble for Kenya, for sure.
Okay, so let's just recap. Kenya is trying to broker peace in Sudan while also dealing with all this regional drama and domestic political pressure.
Yeah, they've got a lot on their plate.
And the stakes are incredibly high. Like, a good outcome could bring stability to a really troubled region.
But if things go wrong, it could make everything even worse.
Exactly, and it's all playing out against the backdrop of these upcoming elections in Kenya. So it's a really dynamic situation.
It really is, and it's something that people need to be paying attention to because it could have major consequences for not just Kenya and Sudan, but the entire region as we get closer to these elections in 2027.
Right? How this gamble plays out could have huge repercussions for Kenya and the surrounding area. What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, gosh, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, there are so many factors at play. It's hard to predict anything with certainty, but I think it's safe to say that things are going to get even more interesting in the coming months and years.
Definitely. Well, we'll be keeping a close eye on it, that's for sure.
Me too. Thanks for having me on to discuss this.
Of course. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, anytime.
And to all our listeners out there, keep following this story. It's definitely one to watch.
Absolutely.
It could have major ripple effects across the whole region, so stay tuned.
Yeah, stay informed.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the news that matters most.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks again for listening.
Take care.
Bye.